It is 5:10. This meeting is starting severely late again. Not severely, but 10 minutes late. 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock, not 5:10.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, September 13. It's 5:12 p.m. and SCP LSC is going to start session. Roll call, please.
Dr. Vilches,
Here.
Ms. Lopez,
Here.
Mr. Keelis.
Here.
I'm here. Mr. Koss, Ms. Dunn,
Here.
Ms. Hanson, Ms. Merlos, Ms. Oden, Ms. Shoei, Mr. Rodriguez, Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Pablo Gonzalez, Ms. Divine Valdez.
Here.
So 8 people present, 6 absent.
Diamonds of LS Diamonds. As Diamonds LSC has a quorum to conduct business. Next item in the agenda is approve the agenda. I would like to present a motion to approve the agenda as submitted. Thank you. Open for discussion.
I'm going to be requesting to add 2 items, a budget transfer for world language from a supply line to a software line to purchase the digital license for world language and the homecoming fundraiser on my end.
This is the agenda.
Isn't the updated one yet? The numbers are there.
It is in the end.
Yeah, and I sent the fundraiser and it's right there printed. It's right here. The motion's right here. It's like,
Is this one there?
I see the budget transfer. I
No,
don't
it
see.
is okay.
yeah,
If
it's right.
it's there, it's fine.
And then I have the homecoming fundraiser right here. And then-
Okay, so it's on the agenda.
Okay.
For the updated, if that's
Okay.
why I'm gonna let you, so
Any more
you can just
questions?
see it.
Clause discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches?
No,
Ms. Lopez?
no,
It is
because
in there.
this is an amendment, I'm gonna request for an amendment. This is the updated, I sent you guys the old one, I added 2 motions.
So you're motioning to deny
So
this.
she's
agenda.
adding
Yeah.
a motion that is not in the agenda.
In the original, yeah, the one that's posted. I'm requesting for an amendment for a transfer and a fundraiser.
Oh, God, I understand that.
But I want you guys to see what it looks like, so in case you had questions when I
Okay.
make the motion.
I understand. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Caput.
Dr. Vilches?
No,
Ms. Lopez?
No.
Mr. Keelis?
Abstain.
I'll vote no. Ms. Dunn?
No.
Ms. Shoei?
No.
Ms. Destiny Johnson?
No.
Ms. Divine Valdez?
No.
So 7, no, 1 abstain.
No motion didn't pass.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, before you go to the addition of the agenda, you want to add to the agenda for discussion only? Because you cannot add to the agenda to vote. So it will
Oh.
be added for discussion.
got it. I could
So we
only,
cannot vote. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, motion didn't pass. So I taking the motion again. I would like to present a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I second.
Open for discussion.
we can only talk about the 2 items.
We just can't vote on it.
We can't vote
We
on it.
cannot vote.
So I have to wait for October.
And the first motion didn't pass
Got it.
because there were only 7 votes.
So we're voting
Okay.
to approve
Should
this
be 8.
old agenda.
The original.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's
Got
clear
it.
for everyone? Okay, perfect. Clause discussion and roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches?
Yes,
Ms. Lopez?
Yes?
Mr. Keelis?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Shoei?
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Divine Valdez?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no. Passes.
Motion passed. Next item in the agenda is to adopt previous LSC minutes. So I would like to present a motion to approve March 14th regular meeting. Mr. Capote, do you want to second?
Sure, yes, I second it.
Thank you. Open for discussion. Close discussion. Roll call for vote.
Are you ready, Ms. Dunn?
Yeah.
I'll say yes. Ms. Shoei?
Yes. Let me help.
Ms. Destiny Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Divine Valdez?
Yes.
Ms. Dunn?
Yes.
Because move forward because I wasn't in the meeting anyway.
Okay. So
Thank you.
Mr. Keelis? We're go-
Abstain.
Abstain, so 7 yes, 1 abstain. Does not
Motion
pass.
didn't pass.
Oh.
Okay. Those minutes are pending. Next item in the agenda is to approve a regular LSC meeting from April 11. Anyone would like to present a motion?
I second the motion.
No, I haven't presented a motion.
Oh.
Okay, that's fine. I present the motion. I would like to present the motion to approve the minutes of April 11, 2023.
I second. Miss-
Thank you. Open for discussion. Close discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches?
Yes,
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Keelis?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Shoei?
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. V- Ms. Devine, yes, so 8 yes.
Motion pass. Next item in the agenda is to approve April 17, a special meeting. Okay, so I would like to present the motion to approve the April 17, a special meeting minutes.
I second it.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Open for discussion. Close discussion and roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Devine Valdez. So 8 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item in the agenda is to approve minutes from May 9, a regular LSC meeting.
Well, I can just keep the organization.
Those
Do we
minutes,
have a copy of the May 9th minutes?
I'm sorry.
Do we have a
Oh,
copy of
that
the
was
May?
the one that wasn't there, right?
The minutes
that's the one
were,
that's not
the
there.
minutes were sent over an email by Mr. Tapuri a few days ago.
He wasn't at that
No,
meeting.
I sent that email. I said I sent all the minutes except May 9th. I was not present at the May 9th meeting. So whomever took those minutes needed to forward those.
That's the correct one. Without.
Who took minutes of, who took the regular meeting?
I don't know, because there was a meeting.
May,
May 9th, right?
there was no meeting June, and then July.
There was no meeting.
It was, I'm not sure. Okay. So I would like to present a motion to table the May 9 regular meeting LSC minutes until we receive clarification.
Second.
Anyone can second? Thank you. Open for discussion. Go ahead, Mr. Quiles. You were going to ask something else? Oh, okay. Open for discussion. Close discussion. Roll call for vote to table those minutes.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Devine Valdez. So 8 yes, 0 no.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item in the agenda is to approve meeting on July 28, which was the organizational meeting.
June 1st, it says special meeting.
Oh, goodness.
No, there was no quorum.
What's
So
on
the
the-
organizational,
it's on the agenda.
meeting, where is it? Oh, got it. Thank you.
That was the budget meeting.
Yeah, but okay. I announced the other one already. Okay. So let's go back to the special meeting on June 1st. So I would like to present the motion to approve those minutes.
I second.
Open for discussion. Okay, close discussion, roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Devine Valdez.
Yeah.
8 yes, 0 no.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the organizational meeting on July 28th.
I second it.
Nobody has a motion. Nobody has present a motion. In order to second our motion, somebody has to present the motion. I've been doing it because I don't see any other LSC member wants to do it. So I would like to present the motion to approve July 28 organizational meeting minutes.
I
Thank you for
second
seconding. I appreciate that. Open for discussion. Close discussion. Roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Keelis.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Vine Valdez.
Yes.
Yes, 0, no.
Well, motion carried. Next item in the agenda, it's public participation. If there is anyone who would like to make a comment, you can sign up this paper we have in front. And I have one person right there, I think. Go ahead, Ms. Cassandra, you have 2 minutes.
Hi everyone, good evening. If you don't know me, my name is Cassandra Hernandez. I was a previous council member here for many years. I come here today with a concern, and Dr. B, forgive me. I don't know if this is later in your report, but as I was in Herring University yesterday, I overheard one of the cleaning ladies or custodians talking about the migrants coming to Steinman's, specifically in the months. So I kind of want to know what that looks like and what that specifically means for Parent University, as we were previously displaced in 2019, and I don't want to see that happen again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There is any other public comment? Yes. Did you receive something, Mr. Capri?
I don't think so.
No? Okay, thank you. So we move forward for the next item in the agenda, which is LSC report. And we have one vacancy, one official vacancy, and the vacancy has been declared for the past year in the school website. So we need more parents in the LSC in order to conduct business and to advocate for our children. So I hope we can fill this vacancy soon. And that's all my report. Next.
Is there any applications?
I know there is one. Okay, next item in the agenda. It's a bylaws presentation, and we have a special guest from LSU Relations. So, you?
Is it me?
I don't know. I'm asking nicely.
This board is attended virtually.
Yes, she's on.
Hi, Chair, can I be
You want
recognized?
to lead the discussion on it, or I'm just here for support to answer any questions or concerns that you all may need. If you are going to discuss these the draft bylaws that were given to you from our office and law for you to adopt.
I don't think they, I don't,
Dr. Vilches did give you all copies of bylaws before this meeting,
You have,
The draft one, no?
yes, the draft.
draft. For you all to look over and to discuss and possibly follow the guidelines from law department.
so if I can speak.
Go ahead.
On here, it says that these must be reviewed and approved by law. They haven't so far been.
That's correct. So we have to discuss them today.
So we're doing no approving, we're just discussing.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Keeler.
Can I say something? You know, this bylaws situation is gonna take some time. And if we are going to conduct the business of today, we won't have any time for that because, first of all, I would like to ask for the bylaws that Steinman's has already, so we could kind of see, because as far as I know, bylaws are not changed, they're amended. And in order for us to amend to this draft that they gave us, we need to know where it fits in our bylaws.
So, Ms. Ford highlighted in yellow the integration of the bylaws that we already had in the correct sections under the new template. So all of that is highlighted in, well, it's gray in your version, in your copy. But there, if you'll notice, it's highlighted, that's the language that was in our previous bylaws that were sent to law.
But these are the ones that we discussed to send to
Yes,
the
these-
law department.
yes.
I'm talking about the bylaws that we
Well, it's
had
nothing.
before we amended and send it out. Because I know we voted on
So
bylaws.
when we came
Go ahead.
on the LSC, that wasn't ever approved by law, so we never even looked at them.
No, there was a bylaw.
There wasn't approved by law.
So when we came, we never implemented them or went with them because they had never been approved by law.
No, you're confused. Statements LSC had a bylaws. We had a special meeting to amend those bylaws. And that's the work we did. Remember? So that's when we had a few points that Mr. Caputi asked. Those were the bylaws that were sent by me to law department for their approval. So they didn't approve those amendments to those bylaws. They want us to adopt a new bylaws,
Okay, then
which are the one you have in your hand.
okay.
So
So I was under
it
the
is clear
impression,
for
and I
you,
could be
or-
wrong, that when we joined in that first meeting, when LSC relations were here, it was brought up then that in the previous LSC, they had never sent them to law to be looked at. And that's why,
oh, no,
what the
no,
issue
no,
was.
no. The
Is that
bylaws
true?
are re-adopted by the LSC in a yearly, in the organizational meeting.
Right, but
By year.
is what I say true?
So the previous bylaws that were created by the previous LSC, we discovered they were never sent to law for approval. So those bylaws could not be adopted. And the LSC created these bylaws that were not approved by law. If you have a copy of the previous bylaws, they were never approved
They were sent.
by law.
Didn't approve
And based
They didn't
on,
approve them, but they were sent.
right,
No, they
Yeah,
were
what
sent.
kind
Okay,
of
okay.
mistake?
Let's clarify that, that because what is happening in this LSC is people speaking other people to make it look like people's not doing anything. So it's not the case. Bylaws were sent.
I didn't say they
We're
weren't
not
sent.
not approved. No, I'm just trying to clarify to the entire audience. So the bylaws were sent, were not approved by law department, and what they consider we have to approve is this new bylaws.
Right, and that's what I
So
said.
that's what I wanna
I
that to
wasn't
keep
saying
clear.
that they did anything wrong. I just said they were never approved.
Ms. Ford raised her hand.
Go ahead, Ms. Ford.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to be recognized. There was some transition in the law department, so it may have gotten, lost in that shuffle. But what the attempt was, the last set of bylaws that you discussed, and I think there's a copy that was the last version that was sent to law. What I tried to do is to help include those things that you all agreed upon into a set of approved model bylaws. And so you'll see the things that are highlighted in yellow is where I took from what you already discussed in the past and had agreed upon and put them in draft model bylaws.
Can you borrow me your bylaws, please?
And
The
so
one I don't have anything on yellow.
It's the gray parts. It's gonna print out.
it's
as
the gray, right? It's the gray parts. And so no one is asking you all to approve anything today. This is about a discussion. It's about a discussion on agreement of what you want to send to law. That's all. And you all may decide you want to take more time separately outside of the meeting, then come back and meet again and discuss in open session. But this is the opportunity for you to talk about specifically the things that are in gray, because those were the things that were extracted from your prior draft of bylaws and put into a model set of bylaws. The one-page bylaw you had wasn't very robust. It didn't talk about the entire function of the council and how it should operate. And so we recommend to councils to use our model bylaws as a starting point, and then you can add the specific intricacies of how you want your council to function as a part of the model bylaws that we shared. Does that make sense?
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Yes, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, I think we're confusing here because I've been in this council for a long time, and I know that in 2018, we had a bylaw that belonged to Simons. I know that when we sat here in 2021, I believe it was, we discussed that we wanted to amend those bylaws. So there's two sets, one that we amended and the one that was already in existence. So what I asked was, can I get the one that we had before so we could look at it? Because supposedly the council, and I'm pretty sure I have a member of the last council, knows that we did approve a bylaw back in 2018. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not confusing things and that we look at the bylaws as they were, because I don't see no problems in looking at the one that Ms. Ford sent, but I do have a problem that we cannot adopt these until we see the ones that we had originally as Simons. Because according to what I know about the law is that you amend, you don't change bylaws. And that is what I see that is going to happen if we go with this draft, is changing the bylaw period.
Chair, can I be recognized?
Go ahead, Ms. Ford.
Hi. So the council can absolutely vote to rescind the prior version of bylaws and then adopt new bylaws. So you're not prohibited from voting to start from scratch, which is a rescinding the prior bylaws, and you can vote to adopt new bylaws, which are in currently draft, should you all decide to adopt them. Again, it is the council's choice, but our office tries to guide LSCs to use our model bylaws, because the one-page bylaws that we saw before were not robust at all and doesn't have the information and well-functioning information for the council, so it can function well.
So Ms. Ford, do you think the recommendation of putting motions for a special meeting just for bylaws would be a better way to deal with the situation than conducting, because, I mean, we have to look through all of it unless somebody says, let's just approve it.
You're not approving anything today.
No, I mean, to approve, to look at it.
Of course. So, yeah, your council can decide to do a special meeting to have a more thorough discussion around what you like to see in the bylaws. Other councils adopt a committee to do the footwork and the legwork on the bylaws and bring it back to the body. There's a number of ways you can get that done. But yes, to your point and question, you can do that.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Ms. Dunn.
So what bylaws are we operating under right now? That's my question.
That's the bylaws, we work on it. Where that I gave it to you like 8 months ago. Those were the bylaws that were approved.
Remember the ones that we were trying to amend? Some of the things in the bylaw?
That already said that, I mean, we were the amendment that the chair, LSC chairperson and principal was gonna take care of the agenda because Mr. Caputi was basically doing something else and he was not going to do that. So that was an amendment because the original bylaws used to say that the secretary was supposed to do that job.
So for a
So we
point,
were amending a few things.
but for a point of clarification, we were amending that point not because he didn't want to do it, but in our training, CPS changed that.
Yeah, but we were trying to do is to reflect in the bylaws the way we were operating to keep everything clear and keep transparency and have no problems about it as we are experiencing right now.
But you just said he didn't want to do it. Am I clear? That's not what he expressed, Mr. Caputi. We brought it up because that's what we had in our training.
We had a couple of items that we put in and sent to the law department.
No, but what I'm saying is one of these items, that is not the way it was presented. It was not presented that he did not want to do it. We brought it up because we went through training and that's what they recommended in CPS. So I just want to make that clear that he did not refuse to do that. That's what CPS recommended. And all I'm looking for here is a copy of the bylaws that were approved by CPS. That's
No,
it.
they are not approved by the law department yet. It's a draft.
We've been working off, well, sorry.
Go ahead,
Permission to
go
speak?
ahead, Dr. Butchers.
So
It's
we're
like a
working, so we
confusion.
we were working off of the previous bylaws from the previous school year. So from the previous LSC, we started off with those bylaws. But then there were questions about the posting of the notice, because the previous bylaws read that the secretary would do was gonna post the agendas, make sure to communicate all X, Y, and Z, right? There were specific action items around the secretary's role, and there was a discussion about that role that didn't align necessarily with what was already written. So there was a meeting for us, and in the meeting we discussed the amendment to the bylaws, and which also included amendments to public participation based on the recommendations of
And adding public comments in the minutes.
of
And the
LSC.
other part, Mr. Caputi added, it was some kind of authority to, in case a comment was coming without personal information about the LSC
So we
members.
oh, sorry.
Right,
Go ahead.
so we're amending
No, we're not doing that.
bylaws, or we're looking to amend
We were
bylaws that
trying.
were never
We were trying to make an
approved by
amendment.
law, correct?
So basically, what I'm hearing is, Mr. Keeler said that there were 2018 bylaws.
2018.
We don't, where are those bylaws?
Those are the ones that I kind of emailed so I could get them.
You have one.
But I'm pretty sure I could get hands on them.
Okay, so basically, what you're discussing now is to resend the
Uh-huh.
2018
Those are ones I have.
Okay,
and adopt these bylaws based on what Ms. Ford said, that you can possibly discuss to rescind the 2018 bylaws, because these were never.
So my recommendation is that we kind of table the bylaws and do a special meeting just for the bylaws and get all the records that we can, so we could put it on the table and discuss it. Because this is, like I said, the bylaws is something that's gonna take a while, and we have other
which is like
items
2
in
hours.
the agenda that need to be approved, that been held back because we didn't have a quorum.
Can I say one thing? real
Yes,
quick?
go ahead, Mr. Butchers.
So just to be clear, sorry, Attorney Jackson, it's independent of changes we wanted to make or did or didn't make and talked about and everything else. The last actual year bylaws were approved by CPS law, if I understand this correctly, is 2018.
That's what.
Yeah. Yes,
That
yes.
was-
So we're working off of 2018
Bylaws.
bylaws,
Right.
5 years, pre-pandemic. Okay.
And so Mr. Keelis is going to try to get
The record.
the records or his hands on those bylaws, so you all can have, something.
Okay, should we move forward?
I actually have a question, Ms. Bearden Jackson. I don't know if you can address this.
It's related to the finance.
No, well,
Okay,
I had
if
been,
it's-
let me just ask her, I had asked her to address another issue, and she said she was coming to speak at the LSC meeting. The issue that
Okay.
we were wanting to address about evaluations, is that
Okay,
something?
Ms. Dunn. Right now, we are in the bylaws portion.
Okay.
We cannot jump or touch any other item until we get there. Until we get there, we have to wait. We cannot do that. Thank you. So should we move forward with the bylaws?
I would present a motion to do a special meeting, to discuss
The
the
bylaws
bylaws.
in detail? Thank you, Ms. Shoei. So open discussion?
What day? Time?
Whenever the chairperson calls it.
Class discussion, roll call for vote.
I'm sorry, Mr. Keelis made the
Present a motion
Yeah,
to call a special meeting to address the bylaws in detail.
and Ms. Lopez second.
No, Ms. Shoei.
Sorry, second.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Keelis. I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn.
Yes.
Ms. Shoei.
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson. Ms. Divine Valdez.
Yes.
So 8 yes, 0 no.
Okay, motion carried to call a special meeting to address the bylaws. Next item on the agenda, it's LSC committee reports. So teachers report.
Do you wanna?
I thought you had practiced in front of the mirror at home. You were gonna,
So, for the teacher's report, the bathrooms, are not very clean. I know we've talked to Dr. V about this, and some of them are locked. So we're requesting, based on student requests, that the bathrooms be open during passing periods, and, right now they're locked. And the kids were asking about getting the water fountains, updated. So we have some water fountains that, you know, are newer, and they are asking that the water fountains, we could update more of them, like to the newer style, because they say that the other ones are not as nice. So, they wanted to have me address those things.
Okay,
Did you want to add
no,
anything?
I'm good.
That's it?
thank you. So staff report?
He didn't send anything.
I think, yeah, we have no report, he's not here. So athletic director report?
Good evening. I know that this is a busy meeting, so I'm just gonna try and make it short. Fall sports are underway and everybody is very successful. We've had many games already played. I'm excited about certain things. Our boys soccer team is now developed a second level. We haven't had a JV level in a couple of years, so it's really exciting that we're building that program back up. So we're thankful for that. Our cheerleading squad has a new coach, and though they're a small squad, they look really great with their new uniforms, so they're learning, and that's exciting. 16-inch has a game today. Girls volleyball has been very successful. Football won its first game and then lost this past weekend, but we hope for the best of their game tomorrow at Rockney. Cross country just had a meet yesterday. We hosted our fall frolic, which is an annual meet that we run at Reese Park. It was very successful. We had 2 elementary school teams. Anybody who saw them, they were adorable watching these little legs run, and boy, can they run, which was precious. And then, of course, the girls 2 and boys 2 mile races as well. So we're really excited. We're hosting flag football this coming Saturday. We've got 4 games going on the front campus, and we're hosting the first round of the flag football playoffs on October 7th. So if you've never seen flag football before, come out. It's a lot of fun to watch. They're just great energy and great parental involvement. I've said it before, parents love watching their girls play football. It's just really something to see. I'm very pleased with the budget that we received for buses this year. I'm really happy to say it was extended, so we should have hopefully ample money for buses this year. We're working on ways that we can deal with internal accounts, which is paying for non-conference officials, tournaments and whatnot, and that leads to fundraising. So we had our first group, thank you to Master Sergeant, our first group of coaches, a coach and athletes went to the Northwestern game this last weekend. So that would be our girls basketball team. So teams are signing up, volleyball, girls volleyball and softball. We'll be doing the 23rd, and we've got about 30 kids, I think, so far. And we've now opened it up to seniors as well. So that's exciting. Again, there are hopefully two things on today's agenda. If we get that far for fundraising. We love that we have a couple of sports that are self-sustaining in terms of money, cross country and track, because we host our own meets. Therefore, we make money to allow us to have the money we need to be able to go to other meets and to buy things that they need. So that's pretty amazing. And so all of the games have been updated on our website, our school website. However, we do have a CPS sports website that's my next step, is to get everything on that one. So we can get lots of pictures and whatnot on there, and I'm working on that. But the games are on the website, so if you get a chance, come out and catch a game, because the kids really do play hard. And I know the girls volleyball has even gone so far as to pick theme days now for their home games. Tomorrow's game, they did not give me enough heads up because I don't have a hat, but tomorrow is Western night, so you come out, find out what the theme is, and dress for it, and just show some support. And I do want to say thank you to the parents. Parents have shown remarkable support so far this season for all of our sports teams. We've seen them coming out, and it's exciting. So thank you to all the parents, and staff members come out. I've seen Sergeant Henderson and Sergeant Davis at games, and we do appreciate, and I know the athletes appreciate when you come out and see them play. So thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Next report is a student's report. Go ahead.
No.
I know you have something to say. Go ahead.
The bathrooms.
Oh, okay, you were going to address about bathrooms. Okay. Okay, thank you. So bag report.
So we're in the process of organizing both the BAC and the back. I always call it the backpack, the BAC and the the PAC organization. So we are working. We will be adjusting the times. We're going to try morning meetings to see if we have higher levels of participation. We're coordinating with our parent university because we know that a lot of our parents attend parent university workshops. So we're eliciting feedback from our parent university coordinator to see what times we have the higher participation rates. And hosting a meeting around that same time because they're already close by. So I know we have something scheduled for September. Yeah, we're just gonna post this soon. We're just waiting for our ELPT to organize the agenda, the notice, and we'll have everything posted in both languages because we have a high population of EL speakers. Well, the bilingual advisory committee. Yeah. So once that is, you'll see the notice, and I'll send it to the LSC.
Okay. Thank you. So, PPLC?
No report. We're in the process of, we're going to have a nomination meeting tomorrow, and then we'll set up the PPLC.
Okay, thank you. So CIWP.
Perfect. So I'm going to save that the CIWP. It's been completed today. I'll be presenting the motion for approval. But I'll save all of the details of the CIWP. I want to just acknowledge all of the people that came starting spring. It was a heavy lift in terms of meetings, times, surveys, gathering the surveys from SES, OST, every program, collecting data from both students, parents. We didn't have a high participation on the CIWP side, but we did have parent feedback from the SES side. So we do have that parent feedback. And staff of the participation in the development of the CIWP. So when I present it, I'll go over all the details.
The principal's report.
All right, so that's me again. All right, so I have to stay close to the monitor so I can be heard. All right, so I'm gonna navigate between the two computers here so everyone can see the presentation. All right, so welcome everyone, community. This is the 2024-2026 Diamond CIWP. Just to go over the CPS vision, you'll notice that the apple looks a little bit different, but not too much. The CPS vision is grounded in academic progress, operational excellence, and building trust, but it's grounded around, well, now it's surrounded by the lens of equity. And those are the, if you look at academic progress, the indicators for academic progress are high quality instruction, talented and empowered educators, safety, wellness, and supportive learning environments. Operational excellence is grounded in high quality service and equitable resources, and building trust is grounded in transparency and inclusive partnership. So you'll see that they updated the language now with the 5-year blueprint. However, this is what the new Apple looks like now for as we're moving into school year 24. All right, so the strategic alignment of the CPS mission is to provide high quality public education for every child in every neighborhood that prepares each for success in college, career, and civic life. CPS vision is academic progress, operational excellence, and building trust. And the day-to-day work is grounded with now what they call the foundation. So there's 5 foundations now. So then we move from pillars to priorities to now foundations. So 2 of the foundations are grounded in the instructional core, which is the relationship between teacher, student, and content. So the 2 priorities are curriculum and instruction and inclusive supportive learning. So those are under the umbrella of the instructional core. And then there are 3 additional priorities: connectedness and well-being, post-secondary success, partnerships, and engagement. So I just want to go over the CIWP foundations. The first one is curriculum and instruction. It's all about all students accelerate towards grade level proficiency. So you're going to hear a lot of language around acceleration instead of remediation, right? So thinking about what are those access points to make sure that our students are still grappling with grade level content. And so some of the practices, so there's the foundation, there's the definition of the foundation, and then they have what they call the practices. The practices are curriculum, instruction, inner core, learning conditions, distributive leadership, balanced assessment, and assessment for learning. The second component, the second foundation within instructional core is inclusive and supportive learning. The definition is all students receive the targeted supports necessary to help them access grade level instruction. The practices are MTSS framework, MTSS academic interventions, the least restrictive environment, IEP fidelity, Tier 1 EL instruction, language, objective mastery. The third foundation is connectedness and well-being. All students experience safe and supportive learning communities by receiving targeted resources and supports and interventions. So the practices are grounded in universal teaming structures, healing center supports, enrichment and engagement programming, re-entry planning. The fourth foundation is post-secondary success. All students graduate high school prepared to earn a living wage through a successful post-secondary pathway. Practices are the C4 instruction plan, individualized learning plans, ILP, structures. That's a lot of the work of post-secondary and Naviance for every grade level, work-based learning, high school advanced coursework, high school industry recognized certification, high school post-secondary leadership teams, and high school alumni support initiatives. The fifth foundation is partnerships and engagement. All students, families, and communities are empowered decision makers. Practices are school, family, community relationships, two-way communication, and the student voice infrastructure. The STIMUS vision, mission and vision, and we are going to be revisiting this mission and vision for this school year now that we've completed the CIWP. And so we're going to be bringing it back to the CIWP. So we're going to have a couple follow-up meetings just to engage students, parents, staff. Is this the right vision for the CIWP that was written? Do we need to update it, or do we keep it as is? So that's where we're going to engage multiple stakeholders in this process. But currently, our vision is STIMUS College Prep provides an environment where our students will use their natural curiosity and talent to develop and hold the inquiry skills necessary to research, design, produce, and communicate creative solutions to real-world problems by being resilient, compassionate, and productive global citizens while pursuing post-secondary education and careers. Our mission, STIMUS students will be given the tools to exhibit strength. Students will demonstrate strength through building community, caring for others, being honest, and having pride in themselves. Talents that students will develop and deepen their natural talents by taking risk and engaging with new ideas while showing kindness. Resilience, students will demonstrate resilience by being trauma sensitive, determined to overcome adversity while advocating for self and others to create opportunities for growth and development in a safe, welcoming environment. Empowerment, students will be empowered by responsibly using their voice to ensure respect and equity for all while embracing our diversity. Ambition, students will be ambitious by setting realistic goals and building habits of continuous reflection. Knowledge, students will build knowledge with a lifelong effort of being open-minded and feeding one's curiosities to promote progress and success throughout their surroundings. So that's what the acronym is STREAK. Today's agenda and objectives, we're going to review the school year 24 CIWP to help understand the CIWP process, and learn about how the school community engaged in the CIWP process, and then hear from the Steinmetz community regarding and provide feedback. So what is the CIWP? It is an acronym for the Continuous Improvement Work Plan. In other districts, it's known as the School Improvement Plan. It is a 3-year strategic plan. It outlines big projects, our priorities for how we're going to improve the student daily experience for learning and outcomes. We develop it based on using evidence, different data points, and our strengths and areas of improvement. It is constantly reviewed, so it is a live document just like the last one. It's just a different template. And it'll be reviewed and adjusted so we can stay on track towards our goal. So there will be progress monitoring meetings to make sure that we're either on track, behind, or in progress. So there are specific indicators that we have to update. So here is the new CIWP process. So it starts by building the team, then learning about the foundation. So there's 5 foundations, and then we had to use a protocol to determine 2+ priorities. And then once we select the priorities, we develop the theory of action, the implementation plan, the goal setting, and then there's the additional components of fund compliance, family and parent plan, and approval. So what was the Steinmetz 24-26 process? We started with bi-weekly meetings, and then we realized we had to go to weekly meetings because it was a cumbersome process to be, the writing process and the reflection process took a lot longer because we were looking at every data point. We started with chart paper, then went to computers, back to chart paper, back to computer. So it was a back and forth because we really wanted to be thoughtful about the work. We wanted to be thoughtful about the data, and it was a new tool and a new process. So everyone had to learn the new language too, and the new tools that go with CIWP. The team used multiple data points and root cause analysis protocols to inform each step from reflection to action planning to a consensus model to determine our 3 priorities. We reviewed both quantitative and qualitative data, and some things that we looked at were program evaluation. So we looked at DL, EL, RIB, STEAM, what's the other? STEAM, DL, EL, and our SES and after school programming. We looked at our ISB action planning. We looked at our current 5 essentials, so we received that in time. And so we brought that into the fold to look at that data.
Is that I just got a call. I have an emergency. I have no problems, and I know you don't have quorum if I leave. Is there a problem if I stay on the phone? Because I have an 83-year-old gentleman at home that fell, and I have to go back. And
You have your ADA accommodation, so you have
so-
the link.
So I have to excuse myself. But in order for it to be approved,
If he leaves and requests for,
to be,
to be included by electronic means, it needs to be a quorum in place. And it needs to be voted on by the LSC with the majority. So there are 2 things. If you leave, they will lose quorum, and then you will not be allowed to attend by telephone because their quorum.
but she just saved my life.
Okay, never mind.
You got
We're
quorum.
so glad you're here.
So, my recommendation is to announce that Mr. Quiles left
Yeah.
what time, and then Ms.
Hanson.
Hanson arrived at what time, because at the time he left, she comes in.
It's a quorum, right.
So there's no misunderstanding.
Right, okay. So there is an emergency for one of our LSC members who has an ADA accommodations. The quorum, we're going to maintain the quorum because just now step in another LSC member. So can you please recognize that in the minute, Mr. Caputi? It's 6:05.
And the time.
It is 6:05. Okay, thank you for being here. So Continue, I'm sorry for the
I was
interruption.
just going over the CIWP process. We're in the principal's report. And I'll share the presentation with the LSC, and I'm going to post it on the school website in full transparency as well to share the process and all of the action steps. So I'll just start from the beginning. We started with biweekly meetings and then realized we had to go to weekly meetings because of how much work with this new process it entailed. And so we started in spring all the way through like last week of September. We used multiple data points to look at every facet of this process. We reviewed different quantitative and qualitative data points, program evaluations, ISB action planning. We did look at our 5 essentials, the current data, student cultivate data, SCS data, DL and EL compliance. We looked at PSAT end of the year data. We looked at Network 14 data because they give us biweekly data. So they track both academic, SCL, and our discipline data. So they provide us 5-week data points and we 40 data. So we also looked at that. We looked at reach, teacher feedback, behavior data, and more. So in the presentation, there is the full template, but we took screenshots so you'll be able to see it. Once I share the presentation, Mr. DeCarlo, can you share with Leslie, please? The link, so I don't have to get a
CIWP
template.
template.
So on Ms. Rodriguez's computer. Thank you. So you'll get the spreadsheet. Sometimes it's too big. It's a very cumbersome tool, but you'll get it right now as a link. So it's a spreadsheet. All right. So here's the CIWP team. So there's more members, but they only gave us 13 lines. So it's completely the IoT. We also had, as our parent, we had Norma attend. We also alternated between her and Mr. Keelis. Sometimes we had SCS attend as well, and our partners to provide feedback. It's just that you can't, so it's not owned by me, it's owned by the district, so I can't add extra rows. So any questions so far? Okay. That is the schedule. So we had to put in all of the dates that we started planning and what was our plan completion date. Notice that we did complete a lot of stuff last week, and then we just did finished up the final details for fund compliance, parent and family plan, and today's approval. So it was like a very thorough process. A lot of meetings. All right, so we did, just to go over the reflection on foundation. So the first step is we have to reflect on all of the 5 categories. So what does that mean? We reflected on each. We use different types of evidence in our reflections, including student assessment data, practice ratings, stakeholder feedback, and the impact of our current efforts. So we actually looked at where we were at as a school as well. We followed the new CIWP process, and the following bullet points is that's what we had to answer for every foundation. So as a team, we had to look at the foundation through what are the takeaways after the review of the metrics. We had to use the associated references. Is the practice consistent being implemented? What is the feedback from stakeholders? What, if any, related improvement efforts are in progress? What is the impact? Do any of your efforts address barriers, obstacles for our student groups? Furthest from opportunity, and what student-centered problems have surfaced during this reflection? So when you open the spreadsheet, there's a reflection on foundations, and then you'll see tabbed out the different, because these are the 5 categories on the first part of it. So we had to do this 5 times, 1 for each of the foundations. So that this process took a while because you have to look at data. And we don't have the chart papers, but this room was full with chart papers because we had to think about, we went back and forth like, okay, here's this data point, but what does this data point mean? Do we need, were we missing data? What does the student experience look like? What is the cultivate data set? And then when we got the 5 essential data, we brought that to the table too. What is the teacher input? What's the parent input? And what was the student input on the 5 essentials? So we had to go back to see if we were off or if they mirrored what we were discussing too. So anytime we got new data, we included that data point. So what was different this year is that we had to, for this process, is that we had to write the concern with students. It was a student-based problem. So what is the problem that's happening with students? And then the root cause analysis, once you got to the bottom 5 why, is at the adults in the building, So that's a shift, right? That was a different shift for the CIWP because we had to center our problem around what is the student experience, but we had to own the reason for that student experience, whether it be good or bad, we had to own it. And so we had to really look inward as to how, whatever it is that we wrote was the student-based problem, how the adults in this building contributed to that issue. So that was a shift, and there was a lot of discussion around what is it that that we as adults in the building are doing or not doing. So for our reflection, so after we did those 5 bullet points for curriculum and instruction, students are not receiving differentiated instruction to meet grade level standards, and assessments are not effectively used to measure student learning, provide actionable evidence, or to inform decision making. As adults in the building, we need to provide a curriculum that is culturally relevant and sustaining, learn how to differentiate instruction, and create assessments that reflect various levels of rigor and real world application. The summary for the reflection on curriculum and instruction is students are struggling with academic engagement, appropriate interpersonal relationships, and self-efficacy. As adults in the building, we have not yet developed proficient systems and a conceptual understanding of MTSS, shared leadership, problem-solving process, curriculum and instruction, progress monitoring, family and community engagement, and evaluation of MTSS, need a deeper understanding of the roadblocks to learning, and are unsure of how to collaborate with stakeholders to increase engagement and learning outcomes. The reflection for connectedness, the summary, for connectedness and well-being, students struggle to make strong connections in the school with peers, staff, and content, resulting in not meeting benchmarks for academics and attendance and low participation in school functions and activities, as noted on Cultivate, 5Es, and dashboard data. As adults in the building, we struggle to build positive relations with students and one another because of inconsistent Tier 1 SEL instruction and integration of SEL standards, self-awareness, social awareness, responsible decision-making, self-management, and relationship skills. And staff is unclear in our delivery of school-wide and classroom SEL systems, structures, and expectations. The summary for post-secondary success, students are reporting interest in plans via ILPs and individual learning plans and learning plans. However, our college enrollment rate and ECCC, early college and career credit attainment, shows that students execute plans at lower percentages than reported. Students have challenges following through on tasks, and as adults in the building, we need to create opportunities to promote intrinsic motivation experience that demonstrates student success, build relationships with outside community, and use assessments that vary and fit for purpose of the curriculum. And reflection on curriculum and instruction. Student voice is limited to just representation in the LSC. As adults in the building, we have not ensured students be made aware of opportunities to participate in committees such as BAC and Student Voice Committee. When these opportunities have been presented, we have not been consistent in maintaining these committees. We continue to see low participation in after-school parent meetings. So we had all of that took a while. So that's where a big part of our meeting time was spent, was really reflecting and getting to the student-based problem and how the adults in the building contribute to that. And so this was based on, and it was everyone on the team at different points to discuss. So after that, we had to come to a consensus of whether we were going to have 2 to 3 priorities. So we came to the consensus of 3 priorities. And the priorities were curriculum instruction, inclusive and supportive learning, and connectedness and well-being. All right, so then after we narrowed down the priorities, now it's time to, this is what we did for priority 1. So this is what the reflection looks like. So if you see here, now every foundation has practices, and it's either yes, no, partial. So as a team, we had to rate the indicators, and then they provide what evidence you can also reference for those indicators. So this is built into the template. So there's all these indicators, and then we had to talk about all of the different data trends that we looked at based on anything related to curriculum and instruction. So then we have to develop a theory of action. This is really what's going to drive our work. So for curriculum and instruction, this is what we're committing now as a school to address the student-based problem and how we adults in the building are impacting that problem. So if we provide staff with professional learning on the development of IB STEAM units and assessments that are culturally relevant, along with coaching support on differentiation with approaches to teaching and learning, and the uses of assessment to measure student learning to inform instruction. Then we see teachers using local and global context to establish relevance of curriculum, engaging students in rigorous and differentiated instruction and meeting grade level targets, and using assessment feedback to improve the instructional core. Students actively participating in critical thinking about content, developing the attitudes and skills to take ownership of their own learning experience results, which leads to a 5% increase in students' grades 9 through 11, meeting or exceeding evidence-based reading and writing, and a 3% increase in math, SAT, and PSAT from fall to spring. So after we developed the theory of action, we had to sit down and develop the milestones. So the milestones are like those big ticket items, like what is really going to be the driver for that theory of action, and the action steps are how is that milestone going to be accomplished. So for curriculum instruction, we have 4 milestones. 100% of teacher, coordinators, and classroom support staff will be trained in Skyline, IB, STEAM, AP, JROTC, CTE curriculum. So there's going to be a huge investment in building teacher efficacy capacity around understanding curriculum and instructional practices. So we started a lot of that work in week 0 PD with IB and STEAM. So you can see all of the action items under there. There's a lot of Skyline training. We're sending a lot of teachers to IB training so that they can think about curriculum and how to bring that to life for students in the classroom, so that we're thinking about what the student experiences in the classroom. The second milestone is 100% of teacher, coordinators, and classroom support staff will be trained in engagement and differentiation strategies for curriculum. So we're refocusing on our Tuesday meetings to focus on Tier 1 instructional practices. Our school improvement days are going to be focused on more strategies of how to engage students, how to differentiate for students. So if I have a student that is struggling, and we're looking at data, so if we have X amount of students that need to strengthen skills and we have X amount of students that need to approach skills, how are we going to strategically accelerate those access points without compromising content? How are we going to engage them in productive struggle within their zone of proximal development? And what does that look like for DL students, our EL students? So like today, for example, we had our first EL, DL, PD on co-teaching and language strategies. So really being thoughtful about how to make sure that students can reach the threshold of grade level and providing and ramping up those supports. Milestone 3, implementation. Milestone 3 is 100% of our teachers develop assessments that align to the standards and capture students' abilities to meet learning objectives, goals for instructional movements, decisions, and reflective of balanced rigor levels. So really taking into consideration what are those balanced assessment practices? Are we preparing our students to be successful? Are we giving them opportunities to grapple with content? Making sure that there's different levels of rigor, reflective, that it's a real world application. Are we thinking about how we're building, if our vision is about building global citizens, are we building their intercultural understanding within the assessment practices? Like, how are we providing that experience in the classroom? And then milestone 4, 100% of our teachers observed in the instructional core using differentiation and engagement strategies with curriculum. So our goal is to hopefully see these practices in the classroom in 100% of our classrooms is our goal. Through rigor walks, hosting curriculum nights, exhibitions, quarterly showcase. So we really want to ramp up those, you know how in elementary they do STEAM nights, math nights, reading nights. So we kind of want to bring some of that to Steinmetz and working with our coordinators to really, because we really like the STEAM Fest and what Ms. Jackson did that evening. So really kind of showcasing all of the talents our students have to, I mean, they make some really cool things, and it would be nice to showcase that to parents. Engaging in non-evaluative observations. So our goal this year's administration is to spend more time in the classrooms. Already they're seeing those touch points because we've already been able to visit a lot of English classes. This week we visited math classes. We're providing feedback, and our network here, Network 14 is here weekly now to provide instructional supports. They also will be engaging in rigor walks. So they also go into classrooms. ODLSS will also be here visiting classrooms at any given time to make sure that we're implementing IEPs with fidelity for EL and ELD, for EL, DL students and DL students. And then in the template, it has us write out a milestone for school year 25. So what I think is going to happen, they're going to send us a new template for when school year 25 comes. And then we have to do that for school year 25 and for school year 26. So all they ask in the CIWP template is to provide a milestone of what you think is going for school year 25. What the vision is, 100% of teachers and coordinators will be trained on how to develop interdisciplinary IB units. So making those cross-content connections, the school provides opportunities for teachers to use collaborative planning and reflection to develop interdisciplinary understanding. Teachers plan and reflect collaboratively to consider connections and relationships between different areas and reinforce shared concepts, content, and skills. 100% of teachers will include Marsano strategies and units, and students will independently identify connections between content areas. So the goal of this of priority one is really to have the students at some point be the drivers of the learning. And how are we setting up how are we setting up curriculum so that they can feel empowered or they can see themselves in the curriculum where they are engaging in productive struggle, they're, want the brain growing. So this is exciting. School year 26, teachers will implement a coherent learning experience for students in accordance with the IB program documentation. Teachers use the MYP planning process to collaboratively design, plan, and deliver document student inquiry. Teachers use local and global context to establish the relevance of the curriculum. Learning aims to develop students ready for the further education and life beyond the classroom. So our goal for school year 26 is that students can make connections to what they're learning in the classroom and see how it extends into their community, both local and global. And these are the metrics. So then you fill out the metrics. There's two quantitative instructional goals. So we're going to be looking at 5% increase in evidence-based reading and writing and a 3% increase in PSAT math. So we looked at our trend data. So we grew so we did see growth in our PSAT. So yay, Simons. So we actually had more growth in reading than math, but we did see growth. So that's exciting to see that we saw movement in academics. And then it talks about the breakdown. So we have to add the different goals. And so we do, based on our Empower and Empower Illinois Empower status, we have to focus on our white group, which is a lot of our Ukrainian students. So you'll see right there, other specify, and that's tied to targeted support through ISB. And then Latinx.
That's the problem with audio only.
And then these are the shifts. So you have to have numerical goals and qualitative goals. So these are the practice shifts. So these are the indicators in that first bar where people had to say yes, no, partial. And then we talk about how we know we're making progress towards that goal for each year. So making sure that we're doing the rigor walks and that we're going to hopefully move from no to partial to yes when we visit classrooms for standard-based learning. So the focus right now is standards-based objectives and standards-based alignment of the task to the objective. And then moving forward with seeing an improvement across classrooms. And then I'm going to turn it over to our guest speaker, Ms. Rodriguez, because I need to drink my pot.
My name is Lisa Rodriguez, and I'm one of the assistant principals here at Steinmetz. So I was tasked to work with Priority 2, Inclusive and Supportive Learning, and which basically focuses on how we are providing equitable support so that all of our students have access to grade level instruction. So we looked at the indicators for Priority 2, which are stated here on the left. And so we use some of the data to kind of decide where our focus area would be for a theory of practice. So the theory of practice that we chose for Priority 2 is if we develop proficient systems and a conceptual understanding of the MTSS framework, shared leadership, problem-solving process, curriculum and instruction, progress monitoring, family and community engagement, and evaluation of MTSS, then we see staff demonstrating a deeper understanding of the MTSS process and procedures, teachers differentiating instruction, and implementation of T2, T3 interventions for academics and SEL with ongoing progress monitoring. Students engaging in learning that is targeted to support acceleration and access to grade level content, which leads to a 10% movement across tiers from red to yellow and yellow to green for academics and SEL. STAR 360 benchmark movement resulting in a 5% increase of students at or above benchmark, higher on-track rates, overall student growth in literacy and math, and a reduction in future dropout rates. teachers are also utilizing targeted SEL strategies to improve teacher-to-student trust and teacher-to-teacher trust on the 5 Essential Survey. So for SY24, these are the following milestones. So we decided to focus on MTSS and developing a strong system for MTSS. Our first milestone is MTSS will develop processes and procedures with supporting documentation for staff. So we wanted to make sure that we created a strong, streamlined process. And so our action steps are focusing on creating a referral form, creating processes for menus of interventions. We also created a flow chart in a graphic organizer that we shared with all of the staff members during week 0 PD, so that everybody has clarity along the process of MTSS. How do you refer students, and then what goes on once those students are referred with the MTSS team. We also, our second milestone was all stakeholders will receive professional development to enhance their learning on the process of MTSS and differentiation strategies for ELL students. And so we wanted to make sure that everybody understood the purpose of MTSS, how it supports students with Tier 1 instructions. And so some of the action steps that we planned for that specific milestone revolve around PD for staff to navigate IEPs, analyze EL can-do descriptors, grading practices, PD for the whole staff on MTSS data literacy, and MTSS for ELs. Also a town hall for students so that students also understand what MTSS is.
Oh, in the backpack, and then parent workshops.
Oh,
at MTSS.
and we were very intentional about also including all of our stakeholders, our parents. And so part of our goal was that some of this information is also communicated during the PAC and BAC so that parents understand what MTSS is. And that way, when students are at home, they're also supporting their students by continuing to implement those or supporting those interventions at home that we are planning for them to be successful. Our third milestone was strengthening the fidelity of the MTSS progress monitoring and implementation indicators. So making sure that we were being consistent with monitoring those interventions and that they were being implemented with fidelity. So we, some of the action steps for that milestone was defining teaming structures and creating a team schedule, creating and implementing a reflective evaluation of the progress monitoring process, creating progress monitoring schedule with usage reporting with STAR 360, which is one of the metrics that we're using for MTSS. Completing a BOI, MOI, and EOI MTSS continuum to inform the improvements where we have grown. And then completing the STAR 360 analysis at the BOI, MOI, and EOI for reading and math. Our fourth milestone was continual evaluation of family partnerships to support MTSS implementation, providing Tier 2 and Tier 3 support. So once again, making sure that all of our stakeholders are involved in the process of MTSS. Creating an inclusive environment that identifies and promotes parents as partners in the MTSS development and implementation process. Creating surveys so that we can inform about the progress and the parents can also share their feedback. Implementing surveys to evaluate our partnerships, analyzing data from those surveys, and then creating workshops once again so that we are making sure that our parents understand these interventions and can apply them at home as well. So if we're able to accomplish all of these milestones, and for SY25, we would see 100% of our teachers are implementing all components of MTSS with consistency and fidelity so that all students, including our EL and our DL students, are receiving robust academic and behavioral supports that will ensure that they have equitable access that will lead to improved student outcomes. 100% of interventions are entered into branching minds. Teachers will be able to support their students and remove barriers to success by creating a shared understanding among staff, parents, and students about the importance of MTSS and the role it plays in supporting student success. Regular professional development and training will be provided to equip educators with the knowledge and skills necessary to implement MTSS effectively. And finally, in year 26, STIMETS will have a comprehensive MTSS process that encompasses all tiers of support, and has a clear structure that all teachers understand and are able to implement. The MTSS model will have flexible delivery of services and staffing, specialized curriculum, universal data collection, and a master schedule that accommodates all students, including those with disabilities in core instruction. So our performance goals, we focused on overall the entire school population. We also included English language learners, which is a group that has been increasing in our population. Our specific metric is a 3% increase for on-track students that are passing. That would be monitored in 5-week cycles. And that would be for the group overall for the entire school, and then specifically for English language learners. And so we have the baseline. And then, so for overall of our students, we were starting at week 40. We based it on our week 40 numbers at 69%. So we would like to see at week 40 in SY24 a 72% increase. And then for the next one, this a 5% increase in BOI, MOI, and EOI, and student STAR 360 scaled scores. The metric is STAR Math, as we want to see an overall increase for all students as well as English language learners. And so the metrics are there. The baseline and the SY24 metric is on the slide. And so here are the practice shifts that we would like to see if this is implemented. So SY24, the admin team created a schedule to monitor branching mind usage, and AP and principal in charge will meet with team leads regularly to progress monitor student groups. So making sure that we are being consistent with monitoring those that schedule, increasing implementation of MTSS, and eventually, of course, all families having a clear understanding of MTSS processes as evidence in our rating for as evidence by rating a fully operational for student level MTSS team in partnerships with teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Frank DiCarlo, one of the other assistant principals here. Thank you for letting us talk tonight. This is the next foundation that we're going to focus on is connectedness and well-being, which is formerly known as, or still kind of known as, culture and climate of a building. This first part here is it's whether these practices are implemented, partially implemented, yes, or I'm sorry, yes, it's implemented or partially implemented. And then on the bottom is just to kind of abbreviate, it's just some of our data of some of our successes and things that we need to work on for the year. So this is some quantitative data based quantitative numbers, something that you can see as, or that you can measure with a number. Again, it's just something that we are successes, but also areas of growth.
Oh, I already went over this.
Yeah, no, that's good. Right. I'll go back. Okay. So we really live by this as a school. So that first part, I'll read that part to you. It says connectedness and well-being, also known as culture and climate, is the heart and soul of a school building. The students, staff, and other systems of a school cannot function to their full potential if the culture and climate is not intact. We as a school have made strides with data pertaining to culture and climate, but we still have work to do. So this plan is going to serve as guidance and a tool for addressing this important work. So the students,
It's because I already went over the SVP, the student-based problem, but go ahead.
Okay. So just to recap, so the student-centered problem regarding culture and climate,
I'll go back.
Yeah, please, thank you. So the students struggle to make strong connections within the school, within themselves, staff, and the content in their classrooms, resulting in them not meeting benchmarks for academics, attendance, and low participation in school function and activities. And then the root cause we go into is what can we as a staff and what can we as adults in the building do differently to assist students through this process. Okay. So the theory of action, this is what I really like about this CIWP process is it really forces you, and it forced us as a team to kind of dig deep into, number one, identifying what we want to work on, but number two, how we're going to get there. So it's that, like, where are we, where do we want to be, and then how are we going to get there? So it forces you to do that by breaking it down. So if we create staff opportunities for professional learning around SEL and IB competencies, IB language, International Baccalaureate, because we are an IB school, understanding of Tier 1 SEL instruction, SEL, social emotional learning. So that's that acronym, you're going to see that a lot throughout here. It's basically the non-academic side of what students experience in a school, but that has a direct correlation and impact on their academics. Clear school-wide expectations and tiered SEL systems and structures, meaning how are we going to identify student levels of support regarding student social emotional learning. You can tier that out just like academics to see the level of support that the student needs. Then we see teachers implementing Tier 1 SEL instruction within their rooms, teaching it and also modeling it to strengthen adult and student relationships, consistent implementation and communication of school-wide expectations, students applying their social emotional skills to identify and foster healthy relationships, develop an understanding of shared responsibility, and the ability to collaborate effectively. And so this would lead, there's some quantitative numbers in here. The rest I'll abbreviate, but this stuff I'll read word for word. Students growing in their ability to make informed, reasoned, and ethical judgments, resulting in 4% improvement in attendance metrics, 5% increase in on track. On track is a measurement of students, basically their passing rate, how many of their core classes that they are passing. That's when you're going to see on track a lot as well. And an increase in our 5 Essentials Cultivate data, which is that's public knowledge. It's on the website. It's the Cultivate or 5 Essentials, which you can see on the CPS website. Creating a sense of community among staff to build on supportive relationships, mutual care and respect, and interpersonal connections, resulting in an increase in that 5E data ranging from very weak and neutral in the following metrics. So very weak is obviously very weak, and then neutral, and then prevalent is, I forgot the word that they use for if it's happening in your school. So that's what we want to build. That's what we want to work towards. But it is a supportive environment, collaborative teachers, and effective leaders to go to a neutral score. That is an actionable. That's something that we can measure and something that we can attain. So I'm not going to read this whole entire thing, but I'm going to abbreviate the implementation milestone. That's what it says in the CIWP. Just to give you a brief, so that's basically what is our goal? So what do we want to see? And then the action steps underneath, like I said before, this causes you to dive into that goal and forces you to think of how you're going to get there. Like anyone could say, hey, you know what? I want to save $20,000 by 2032. But that could be. But then it forces you to think what are the steps you're going to take to do that? So the first one that we had, clear school-wide expectations around school connectedness and well-being. That is something tangible, something that we can do. A lot of this that we started to do already. Some of it we have a goal for the end of June. So meetings on the calendar, flowcharts for our policies, visual and evident to all stakeholders, everyone in the school. Collaboration between coordinators and admin. Implementation plan for all policies. You can come up with the best policy in the world, but how are you going to carry out that policy? And then quarterly town halls for students. We already had our first round. It was a success. Organizational, I think it'll get better during the second quarter, but for the most part, it was a success. Our next goal, our implementation milestone, is a cycle of learning around Tier 1 SEL instruction. So Tier 1 SEL instruction, that's the first line of defense is a student's classroom teacher. So what is happening within the school itself, but also within the classrooms for kind of a baseline. What is everyone doing to support students' social and emotional health? We can go to the next one. And then the fourth milestone that we had is learning experiences that promote adult SEL. So SEL goes for adults and students within the building to help adults feel supported, valued, and connected. Supporting educator well-being and self-care, build adult capacity for social emotional learning, and create systems of support for educators. So that was our third implementation milestone. And we said that we're going to do that. We're going to lean on a lot of our partners that we have inside the school, establish a social committee, which we are also in the process of trying to put in get the wheels going on. Provide PD with our community partners to promote physical and emotional well-being, calendar of events, and then also a professional learning plan that reflects adult SEL. Our fourth is integrate student feedback, so student voice perspective into decision-making processes, policies, and initiatives. So you're going to see that acronym SVC a couple times on here, that's Student Voice Committee. So that is what our Our students, you know, this is everything we do here is for them, so they should have a voice in, you know, in a lot of these decisions that we make. So that's how we're gonna, and the Student Voice Committee is going to enable us to do that. Okay. So in the anticipated milestones, so an anticipated goal, it's kind of like asking us to kind of look to the future. So school year 25, you know, what can we, this is what we would see. You can take a look at this on your own. What will we see in school year 25 as something that we would still be working towards? And then something that we would see in school year 26 as something that we'd still be working towards. And you see the acronym again for SVC, which is Student Voice Committee. Okay. So the performance goals, just to give you a brief overview, anything related to culture and climate, or whether it's grades, non-academic, it can always be measured by numbers. So this performance goal is numbers that we want to see from school year 24, 25, and 26. The first one is around ADA, which is the school's average daily attendance. So an attainable goal is to be able to see that increase by 3% each year, because we saw an increase in that data from school year 22 to 23. So we want to keep that upward trend going as an increase 3% each year. We decided to include priority groups such as students with the IEPs. We're going to track that, and also our African-American female students. So those are going to be two focus groups and priority groups that we are going to focus, or subgroup that we're going to focus on this data. And then also a decrease in 10% of our out-of-school suspension per 100 students. So that's the total out-of-school suspension. That's narrowed down to per 100. And that's attainable because that's something that we also did this year from 22 to 23. So the practice goals, this is more of the, it includes numbers, so quantitative, but it also includes a description, so more qualitative, so words like how are we going to do this? The column on the left, this is provided just based on the foundation number 3 by CPS, as you know, if you're going to focus on this foundation, this is what you have to focus on. And then for school year 24, 25, and 26, this is all how, after we identify the goal, it's basically how are we going to get there. So it's a description for each one of those goals on the left, and then how we're going to get there for 24, 25, and 26. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, if you have any questions or feedback, please, so I created a Google form, so if there's any questions that arise, remember, it is a live document. So even once it gets approved, just like the previous CIWP, action items can be updated, goals can be updated. They haven't outlined if you would have to, the theory of actions would have to come up for approval by the LSC if we were going to change like the priorities or the big drivers of the CIWP. So there's a Google form I included that I'll share on the school website along with the actual presentation. Should anyone have questions or feedbacks, they can drop it into the Google form regarding the process, or if they have any questions about the action steps. So that concludes my presentation of the CIWP for school year 24-26.
Would you like to present the motion?
Oh, yes. I would like to present a motion to approve the school year 24-26 Diamond CIWP.
No. No, that's okay. Open for discussion. Pause discussion. Roll call for vote, please.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
excuse me, Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
I vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Divine Valdez.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Students don't vote
Oh, yeah.
on the CIWP.
6 yes, 0 no.
Yeah.
Also then,
So didn't pass?
no, we need to have. Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask a question so Ms. Ford is not on there, so it's due on the 15th. So how are schools? So is there any advice or guidance out there for how to approach this process? I mean, at least it's
There is no extension. There is an exemptions.
There is
I
no
mean,
extension. The
because-
deadline is the 13th.
Are they gonna give schools guidance?
I'm not sure.
A cheap question.
Indirect, because,
Yeah, for that reason, I was trying to add somebody to.
On the plus side, it's a completed CIWP. We're still gonna hold true to all of the
Yes.
work that we're committed to. We're still gonna move forward with providing, supporting curriculum and instruction, inclusive and supportive learning, and connectedness and well-being. We're still going to move forward with Ms. Pierce will be leading the student voice committee. So, I mean, those are still things that as an administration, as a school, as an ILT, as a CIWP team, it's all about the students and driving and improving the student experience in the classroom and building teacher efficacy and supporting teachers. And it's about accountability both for administrators, because if you read that's what the administration has to do, right? We have to provide the structures, the constraints, everything for this to work. So at the end of the day, you still have the commitment from the administration to lead this work, to focus on MTSS. We are excited. So we have Start 360 for our tier 2, tier 3 students. Some teachers are going to be using it for diverse learners. So if you have little ones in elementary school, the beauty of that report, it tells you everything that the student needs and the standard. So you're not thinking about is it this skill? Like it tells you like, I'm going to use your name, Destiny. Destiny needs this to move in math, and this is how you can do it. So we're excited to be able to meet students where they're at and just continue to support the work of supporting our kids in the classroom and bringing in parents into the fold and carrying out our family nights and, bringing some of the elementary feel with Miss Pierce and I being from elementary. Just like that, so we're excited. So we're still going to do, and I'll reach out to my network for additional guidance on how to proceed moving forward.
Thank you for all the effort you're doing for the students this time. Yes. Thank you for including everyone on the table and listen, everyone.
And I did talk about this since I was still in the principal report. I met with Emmerich did come up, and I'm like, they're like, oh, what do you need? I was like, can the bathrooms be cleaned periodically? I mean, we've requested this. Parents have communicated, students and I showed them the bathrooms. So I did walk some of I think there were managers higher up in Airmark because they had a different color shirt. So I did communicate my concerns. So I'm continually repeating and reaching out and advocating for our restrooms to be clean.
It's all a process. It's a whole process.
I guess, yeah.
So we move to the next item in the agenda with a motion to approve internal accounts.
I make a motion to approve the internal accounts as presented to the LSC.
Second. Thank you. Open for discussion. Close discussion. Roll call for vote, please.
Do students vote on internal accounts?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No
Dr.
budget.
Vilches?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Ms. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Ms. Shoei?
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Divine Valdez?
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no.
Motion pass. We move to the next item on the agenda, which is budget transfers.
I make a motion to transfer from bucket pointer line 46291-115-51320 2900001-000575 to regular position pointer line 46291-115-51300 2900001-000575 in the amount of 17,433.35 to clear negatives in regular position pointer line due to encumbrance of lane and step increases to support with regular position adjustments.
Second. Thank you. Open for discussion.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms.
Just
Dunn.
because I went back in my training, do we need 9 people to vote for a budget transfer? So we can't vote on this, right?
Exactly.
And another point of question, can students vote on budget transfers too?
Transfers that do not benefit their teachers or personnel.
So that one would be back to 6. For everyone, for students and for anyone that's new to the LSC. So encumbrance is when you do the budget in like really early spring, it doesn't calculate for a teacher getting a master's degree or a doctorate degree or moving within lanes or adjusting benefits or getting a double master's. So all of those will hit as teachers complete their paperwork with CPS. So you don't know when you're gonna. It just all of a sudden it's a payroll period and encumbrance happens, and you go back into your budget and you see that there's a negative pointer line. So you have to adjust the budget within that same program code to cover the negatives for the increase in step lane adjustments for staff. So that and it happens at multiple times. So this type of motion may be presented by a principal at different times. Like if a teacher gets their master's in December, they put in their paperwork, then the encumbrance will happen once CPS approves that process. So just to give you an idea, so what I commit to in the spring may not necessarily always hold true because you have to clear, like a checking account, you have to clear your negatives, and you try to do it with at least impact to your top priorities. Like sometimes like you have to make the decision. Like I refuse to touch the transportation line because we need that money. So I have to think about where I can find that. That is still, I can still support the programs that we need and still hold true to our commitments that are much needed, right? And so that's where the decision, and then the LSC has to approve that. And then they ask questions about where that money is coming from. But this money is already in a pointer line. So it's money that dropped because if I hire a new teacher to replace a teacher that just retired, you can see anywhere from a $50,000 like surplus in that specific pointer line. And that's, you use that money, but it has to be in a specific line. Like I had to move it to a savings or a CD. So I just wanted to give some clarity as to, and then, so what she's saying is that students can't vote because it's a teacher pointer line.
Okay. Understandable.
But you guys, if it was a world language, like a supply to supply, to purchase something,
Like chairs and stuff like that.
Bathrooms, yes.
You were going to say something before?
No, she answered the question.
Before you said it. Okay.
So yeah, if anyone asked, we had some huge encumbrance. There were one adjustment was a loan was $21,000, but I don't get to see what that is. I just know that the encumbrances are significant, and I don't know what degrees or what masters. I just know that people submitted paperwork to CPS, and I have to figure that piece out.
So then if in December, let's say their money that hits, do you put it back into wherever you took it? Like you said, it could change like 50,000 or whatever. Then the money just goes back. Like where you're taking it from today, if we, like, let's say a teacher quits and you get a cheaper teacher, then that money will hit later on in the semester and you can transfer it back.
Yes, with your approval.
Okay.
So if it's to cover, like you may use that money to cover another negative that comes through.
Got it.
But it has to like match. It's like you can't put like a checking into like go from Chase to TCF. Like it doesn't work that way in CPS. It has to have like matching codes and stuff.
Okay.
Or that's where like we think about, okay, where is it, like, do we need more money for this department? Do we need more money for this department? So you can think about how to allocate the additional funds like that, which is how we got more of the tech. Like we invested in the classrooms last year because we had a lot of adjustments in the positive direction. So it went back to the classroom.
Got it. Thank you.
Or like bathrooms or technology, materials.
Madam Chair,
Any more questions? Go ahead.
I can provide you all, we created a flyer when the legislation increased student reps and added student reps in the elementary. Our office created a flyer on what students can and cannot vote on.
Right.
And although they can't vote on it, we encourage discussion on it to get clarification.
Yes.
So tomorrow, I can send that PDF to the entire LSC.
Okay.
So you all can have that.
Thank you.
If that's something you would like.
Okay.
So then we can't even vote on the second transfer, right?
No.
Because of the teacher piece.
And we have only 5 minutes left from our meeting. So next item in the agenda. I thought you kept principal's report. I mean, the principal's evaluation.
Where?
No, you remove it.
It was under old business.
It's not here.
There's nothing here.
Do you have to categorize old business still?
It was supposed to be in all business and I don't see it. That's why I didn't give it a report. Can I go back to a piece of my report? No, right?
Maybe one-
Okay,
I mean,
no.
you need 5 for concerns, you wanna address it now so we can.
Yes, I mean, I think as everyone is able to see, we are a few parents short from the LLC, which is key, holding our backs to move forward, to maintain the process and protocols of the LLC up to date. Last year has been very challenging. I know they are LLC members that resigned, but because I haven't received their resignations in writing, I cannot move forward. Other LLC members have resigned privately, and I have had conversations one-to-one to maintain at least sometimes quorum. So with that said, so far we have only one vacancy that I would like to fill in next meeting as soon as possible. But I don't know if I can talk to you in a privately to see what we can do to move forward with the other 2 LLC members that I know. They are out and was verbally
Follow up with that. And we'll give you guidance.
okay, perfect.
I have a question. Am I understanding that this conversation is related to the principal evaluation?
So,
Falls in principles evaluation because we're short.
yeah.
Because we are short in principles evaluation, Ms. Dunn, students doesn't evaluate either.
Right.
So we will be short even though we conduct an evaluation.
Right, but I want to just address what has gone on previously, that we didn't do it, and I've received emails from community members asking why we didn't do the principal evaluation, and I was called out on it. And I said that we didn't do it, and we asked you about it. Mr. Caputi sent you an email, and you said that the LSC relations said that we should postpone it. And then I contacted Ms. Dearden Jackson, and you said that we. So I would just like some clarification.
This is the conversation. So it is our department's desire that the LSC complete the evaluation based on a timeline by the Illinois School Code.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes our conversations are with chairpersons, which when the chairpersons reach out to our office specifically, she reached out to her specialist, gave me what was going on. Our recommendation is always to try to finish the evaluation by the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's problems with quorum, you cannot conduct an evaluation. So that's something that should be known by the LSCs, that on a date that you all set to do an evaluation, and there is no quorum, usually there's a special call meeting. If there's no quorum, you cannot go into closed session. Students and the principal do not count for a quorum. And based on that information that is given, we give recommendations. Although we want our LSCs to finish by May 1st, you have to remember, evaluation is a 2-part. There's a part that is done in May, and there's a part that's done in November.
Right.
So because the LSC is meeting again in November to do the final summative rating, a plan was put in place that the LSC, a recommendation for a plan was to put in for the LSC to do the professional practice when they do the final summative rating. Now, that's a recommendation. The LSC does not have to take our recommendation. However, there seems to be some misconception, so some internal issues that is not communicating to everyone where everyone is aligned. So that is the recommendation, and chairs, it is not uncommon when an LSC schedules a meeting and then a chair say, okay, is there going to be quorum, that they may reschedule. So that's what my conversation to you looked like, or it sounded like. So, I mean, when community members come to you to basically ask those questions, I mean, you could ask them to potentially come to attend an LSC member, a meeting, and put their concerns on the table, so it can be a point of record. But, you know, we believe that we ask LSCs to follow the timeline and start in the fall to collect evidence from September to March, April, May, begin that evaluation. But as you all know, there has been situations where there has been a lack of quorum, and this LSC has not been able to conduct the business that they need to conduct. So hopefully, when you all sit down to discuss at the next meeting, you all can come up with a date where you all will have 8 members in person for a quorum without the principal and the
the 3
because
students.
remember, the students and the principal does not count towards a quorum to conduct an evaluation.
So, 2 questions. One is, do you recommend that because we have a problem getting quorum in regular meetings, that it's something that we would do in a regularly scheduled meeting?
That is up to you all. Because a lot of LSCs do not want to give up that time on a regular meeting to do an evaluation because it's packed with so much information. But if you all come together and agree to say, okay, we have problems with special call meetings, getting a quorum, but we have a quorum, not counting the principal and the student, and I don't want to take up any more time because you all have a tight schedule, to say that, okay, we have quorum at regular meetings. Is it okay if we forego reports and those things where we could do the evaluation? That's up to the LSC. That's a decision the LSC will have to make, but the majority of the LSC say no, then that's enough. It's always the majority.
Go ahead, Mr. Boyd.
So I have 3 concerns. We had a date of April 26th, somewhat tentative to meet and do the principal evaluation. This is where you're saying we did not meet
So you
quorum.
said tentatively it was a day?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm concerned about how it was decided we did not meet quorum. We didn't gather, look at the attendance and decide there was no quorum. It was determined we would not meet quorum through a series of emails. Hey, can you make it? Previous to that, we weren't all privy to people's responses. It was just decided, I don't think we're going to do quorum. Let's not have the meeting. But then you communicated with us that the majority of the LSC agreed to postpone the principal evaluation.
I said that it's the majority of the LSC, but the majority of the LSC, based on the conversation, agreed to that fact.
I don't think that's true.
So there's no vote, it's a conversation. So now the majority of the LSC is right here. They can speak for themselves.
That's true. That'd be great.
Wasn't that the meeting where we all said we were gonna make it, and then it didn't happen anyway?
The meeting. So we didn't. We can't speak for it. Do we agree to delay in mid-April the principal evaluation? Did we gather and agree to delay it till November?
I don't remember agreeing to delay it to November.
We agreed to
We
find
agreed
the
that
time to
special
meet.
date and the time to meet.
Yes, yes.
And then the email came out and we all said, yes, we can make it. Yes, we can make it.
Right.
And then it was, no, I don't think we'll make, so it was canceled.
So
But I thought there was enough yes responses on the email.
it was very confusing and very sort of mysterious. Can we make it? Can we not? And then so April 26th came and went. Somehow you were informed or others or other people were informed, oh, we're delaying it. Most of us didn't know we were delaying it. We thought we would meet again as soon as we could. And so we kept asking our chairperson and others, what about the principal evaluation?
I
And
think
they
you're
said
not
we couldn't
understanding something, Mr. Caput.
let me just finish real quick. So if it was decided on April 26th if we all agreed to delay the meeting, how come none of us knew? We kept asking, when is the principal? Into May, we're sending emails. When are we going to do our principal? But if we had all agreed on it, we wouldn't be sending this email. So some small portion of this LSC agreed to delay the principal evaluation, and that was communicated to you. But I think, and again, the LSC can speak for themselves, the ones that were there. Many, I know, in speaking with our staff person and others, were like, what? We didn't agree to, when was this agreement made to delay it? Who made it? We're all very concerned about that. And that's why we kept inquiring into May. When are we going to do the principal evaluation? We even tried to put it back on the agenda. What's up? So I'm repeating myself, but I'm saying if we had all made that agreement, why would we continue to ask what's going on?
So my recommendation moving forward, it was supposed to be on the agenda today. Put it on the agenda for discussion.
It wasn't the agenda for some reason. It's not the
Right,
topic.
so, I mean,
Because it wasn't the agenda to
right,
touch it
so-
today. For that
right,
reason,
so
I
let's
tried
put it
to
on
go
the agenda
back
for October
and talk about it.
For discussion, or if there's a discussion, or you all reach out in between the time of the next October meeting and say, hey, we're gonna have a forum on this date, call a meeting. Remember, to call a meeting, either to call a special call meeting, the chairperson or 5 other members. And if you have a quorum, you can move forward
Exactly.
with the business.
Thank you.
So there are 2 ways to hold a special call meeting. One,
Mhm.
LSC to handle the business, because it's the responsibility of the LSC to make sure that they take care of the authority. So if the LSC wanted to do an evaluation, say 5 members could have called a meeting, and if there was a quorum of 8, you all could have conducted the evaluation. Okay? If the chair doesn't call a meeting, 5 members, I don't want to create conflict between
Yes,
them.
because that's
I don't wanna
actually,
do that,
actually,
but
that's
there
what
are
is
2
happening. I
ways.
mean,
There's 2
since
ways
that
to
is,
call a special
okay.
call meeting. So my recommendation now that we have gotten this out, that there was some
Mhm.
confusion because of the recommendation that there was no quorum in place. So based on your minutes, based on your lack of minutes, based on the fact that you all have been, you all just approved minutes since March.
Since February.
So February, so there is
Right.
some issues
Some
with you
issues.
all having enough members to make a
Exactly.
So let's commit to talk about it next month. Commit to those individuals that did not officially resign to come together so you all can get this done.
Mhm. Exactly. So I think it is important to clarify the misconception some of my LLC members have about thinking that I didn't want to conduct the principal's evaluation, which is not true, first of all. And second, as Ms. Jackson just mentioned, without the LSC student rep and without the principal, we are supposed to keep a quorum in order to conduct the evaluation. And LSC Stymos doesn't have a quorum. And I'm not gonna share the private information I have received, but I'm trying to be transparent to you and express the work
To
I
us, you
have
mean,
done
not to me.
to you all, Mr. Caputi. The problem
Right.
with you is that every time I speak, you take it personal. And we're not moving forward because you are more concerned about how to find out I'm not doing my job instead of working together with me to make sure we move forward. I cannot fill vacancies if the LLC members just tell me verbally that they don't want to be part of the LLC, but I don't have a formal statement on writing. I cannot move forward. And I have expected that with Ms. Jackson before. So I cannot do something that belongs to somebody else. For that reason, the statements of the LLC of the statements didn't conduct the evaluation. Go ahead, Dr. Ovechos.
So just to be clear, the way the LSC evaluation works, even if you five want to meet, you still have to get approval. You have to get Mr. Koss here, Mr. Keelis here, Ms. Oden here, and who's another one that hasn't been coming. You need all the members because every meeting we've conducted, every meeting that we've conducted, the only reason the budget passes is because my vote counts. We haven't been able to get 7 adults in the same place to make this evaluation happen. So even if you met, you would have just, that's fine. Let's say it doesn't, you still need the other LSC members to come in person to meet. And so that just provides like, you would still, and I'm not here to speak for what they said, yes or no, but at the end of the day, even for the budget presentation, the only reason it made it through was because my vote counts for the budget presentation. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had an approval there. And it's not because I don't want to be evaluated. I've already had my binders ready to go. I was bringing my binders every meeting, so I have no problem being transparent. All of my principal reports have been aligned to the competencies. And what people don't realize is that I had to write 2 evaluation plans, one for the old competencies, and I still had to submit an evaluation around the new 16 indicators to Network 14 and provide evidence for how I'm moving that work. So at the end, it's not I just want to provide clarity. I have no problem being evaluated and being held accountable for what I'm supposed to do as a principal. I have no problem presenting at the November meeting because I now have the data to support that everything that we've implemented in this school one has transformed. We are seeing growth in academics, and I have the data to support that. We have the data to support decrease in high incident behavior and an improvement in overall culture. The only thing that I don't have is the 5 essential data, but doesn't mean that I'm not going to I'm taking that data into consideration as I'm thinking about the adult SEL in the building and the student data. So I'm comfortable with, so at the end of the day, I've had every meeting, you saw me guys, oh, I guess not. So I have, I printed it out because the ask from the LSC was to print it out, but I had it digitally ready for you guys. And then, so at the end of the day, it's not, you would still need everyone minus me, and we haven't been able to have a meeting with 8 members present without me present. And so that's been the piece too.
If I could say 2 things. One, I don't think it's a question of we think you're doing anything, so, but can't we also then, these members who are not attending, isn't it that if they miss so many meetings, we can apply for to have them removed, and then it would open up spaces? So isn't there a process that
If you remove them, then you will put yourself in a position to go below quorum. And then you will have to, with the new legislation, if you remove all the parents in the community, you couldn't fill the vacancies to get back to quorum, because with the legislation,
Parents want to join.
At least 2 elected officials, which parents and communities are the only elected officials. So you have to be careful when you trying to say remove or asking for resignation or seeing where removing these individuals would put you, because there's a process for the removal as well that you have to go through.
So if we filled our vacancy that we had and then try to remove one,
you would
that.
have to do the math. If you have 6 parent spots, 2 communities, you fill the one, and then you remove the others, what you would have to do the math as to where that would leave.
Okay, makes sense.
Because to fill the vacancies through the new legislation, the quorum requirement is 5 members for a quorum. But within those 5, 2 would have to be an elected official. There would have to be 2 parents in attendance, a parent and a community in attendance for you all to move forward to even fill vacancies if you go below quorum.
Got it.
One last comment.
And it's up to the chair because, you all are past your 7. She has to
Yes,
finish.
it is 7:15, and we're your 2 hours.
Okay. Just one last comment.
Wait, I have a quick one when you're done.
Okay, as pertains to the principal evaluation, I think everyone can appreciate Ms. Dunn and myself, as the teacher reps are concerned here. It's not the issue of quorum, right? Whether we establish quorum or not, I think the issue is that somehow on April 26th, an agreement was made amongst the LSC to delay the principal evaluation, yet we somehow didn't reach quorum, and the majority of the LSC did not know about this decision,
So
yet
that's
somehow,
something you all have to come together.
so that
and
was
have
just
a
a
sit
concern.
down and have a conversation. It seems like there's some internal
Mhm,
situations that our
mhm.
office do not manage and that are beyond
Okay,
our purview, because you all are the body. You all are the officials that come together to agree on these matters.
agreed.
So the thing
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to add was nothing with this conversation, but just with the fundraising for Miss Russo, that top one with the homecoming dance. There's no way for us to delay that because our next meeting is going to be into October. The dance comes first. Is there any way for just to get that one item passed?
No, we can't even vote on it. That's what, I thought we could amend it and vote today, but we can't amend for a vote. I learned today. But we can get the snap race and, well, if we all agree, we can get the snap race and the other two.
She tried to do something at the beginning of the meeting, but she can.
So can we make a motion to extend the meeting to approve the fundraising, Ms. Lopez?
Go ahead, let's just keep going if everyone is agreeing.
I'd rather get it passed if that gives them a chance to have their funding.
Yeah, totally.
That's
Yeah.
Why we're here.
She's been waiting for,
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the SNAP fundraising to support athletics.
Second.
Open for discussion. Would you want to do, do you need a presentation?
No, I don't need a,
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
does the school provide any money to the sports teams for the busing or the awards or this porta potty? We don't have one.
They gave us one, so this is, I guess, to supplement, but we don't, for non-conference officials, we have the transportation money, but non-conference officials, we learned has to be paid through internal accounts, so that's what we're really raising money for. And then just to have a surplus to support with any, because the athletics want to have more engagement, like if the kids want to buy other things and go beyond like what's been provided, like
We were also
Here?
hoping to hold, like we've done in some past, go back to having banquets for teams.
Yeah.
We'd like to go back to having parent dinners for teams. And those are things that we are funded for, but we can raise that money, and each individual team would like to be able to do that. So that's where SNAP Raise would allow them as individual teams to come up with money for things that they would like individually. Right now, again, I mentioned before, volunteering with the Northwestern games and whatnot is also another way that we can get money into internal accounts that allows us to pay for non-conference officials, which get paid. Internal accounts just means they get a check as opposed to being paid with a purchase order through budget lines. And so we don't get money automatically put into that. So that's why we have to raise funds for that.
and we don't want to touch the transportation money. So if we can like supplement somehow without the money that was allocated for athletics already to do all the stuff that we want to bring back.
Okay, no more questions? Close discussion, roll call for vote, please.
Dr. Vilches?
Yes.
Ms. Lopez?
Yes.
I vote yes. Ms. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Hanson?
Yes.
Ms. Shoei?
Yes.
Ms. Dustin Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Divine Valdez?
Yes.
So 8 yes, 0 no.
Can I make the next? I motion to approve for entrance fee for opposing teams and spectators for Steinmetz track meets for non-conference officials, track and cross-country meet fees and surplus.
I second. Open for discussion. Close discussion. Roll call for vote.
Dr. Vilches,
Yes.
Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
I vote yes. Ms. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Shoei,
Yes.
Ms. Destiny Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Divine, Valdez. Yes or no?
Motion passed. Okay. So with that, we conclude, it's 7:20 PM. So our meeting has to get adjourned.
I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second, open for discussion.
The homecoming dance, what are we gonna do about it?
We can vote on that.
I know, but can we have like can we call a special meeting for all these extra things that we need to do?
We will find out when we can do that because the CIW wasn't voted either.
Right.
And that is very important.
Well, we can do that 5-person.
We need to make sure we have quorum without counting the students.
Make sure it's organized too, because it's all over the place.
Okay, so a vote in favor. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
It is 7:21 PM.
Happy school year, guys.
Thank you.
Go team.
So we would need Ms. Merlo to come, Ms. Oden to come, 15 to 8.
I spoke to Miss Alden a few times and she said, I'm gonna send you something in writing that she's not living in. So at this point, I don't feel any longer comfortable to calling her again because it's the third time I call her. And she can accuse me of trying to remove her out of the job. And you know that the other LSC member